Dozens of scientists are denouncing the Trump administration's climate report. They say that report is riddled with errors and cherry-picked data. Energy Secretary Chris Wright, he was on the program earlier today, and here's his response to that.
You can see how political climate science has become. Over 90% of what's mentioned in the report, Stuart, is straight out of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports. We're just amplifying what's already in these sort of long, detailed, nerdy reports. And of course, that tones down the overheating about climate change, because most of what's in there is real physical data. There's change going on, but it's actually not alarming. It's not fast moving, and it's nowhere near the world's biggest problem. But if you're an activist in this space, you don't like that being downplayed.
All right, joining us now, the founder of Power to the Future, Daniel Turner, joining us again. Daniel, what do you think? The harmful effects of CO2 emissions are overblown? You agree with that?
Oh, 100% overblown. And when you look at this from a pure economic perspective, go back to the debate last year with President Trump and Vice President Harris. And she mentioned how they had invested over $1 trillion in the green economy. That's not money that came out of the free market productive side. That is fiat tax dollars that were printed. But that money went somewhere. It went to wind mills and solar panels and EVs. Well, those people need an intellectual foundation for that $1 trillion of government grift. And so their intellectual foundation is paying a bunch of climate scientists to scare the markets into saying, you need to give us money. No one would fund wind turbines or solar panels if government didn't require it, and if there wasn't this fear that climate change required it. So yeah, I'm not surprised the climate scientists are angry. They're getting paid to defend $1 trillion false economy propped up by the taxpayers.
There's one court ruling that's it's gone very much in Trump's favor. The environmentalists have just lost access to a huge, I'm calling it a climate slush fund. My question is, does this effectively kill a lot of climate activism for the next couple of years?
It really has to. I testified before Congress on this just a couple of weeks ago, and this is, again, taxpayer money that is given to left-wing causes. We've always wondered how these environmental groups have so much power, so much clout. There aren't enough Americans writing $10 checks because they believe this nonsense. It's government grift funneled through these taxpayer-funded programs, and when their funding dries up, the activists as well will dry up. This is a sector of the society that has done tremendous damage to the energy markets, to human dignity overall. And seeing the climate movement die a slow and painful death gives me great joy.
Oh, yeah. What a guy. A slow and painful death gives you great joy. Okay, let's turn this around for a second. Do you see any positives in climate change? Is there any good that comes out of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of good in CO2. We talk about CO2 as plant food. We talk about CO2 as growing green spaces worldwide, right? The problem with, again, this climate science report, we don't have to prove that they're wrong. They kind of have to prove that they're right. And how many years, 30, 40, 50 years we've been hearing about the end of times because of climate change, and none of the predictions have come true. It's at the point now that it's laughable when the John Kerrys or the Greta Thunbergs say we have 5 years left, 10 years left. So the climate hysterics, they've never measured up to all of their apocalyptic proclamations. And I think Americans are just tired of it, especially when the result means give up your car, give up your gas stove, pay more at the pump. All this nonsense has to come to an end. It's costing us dearly, and I'm glad it is coming to an end.
Glad it's coming to an end. Okay. Daniel Turner, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it, sir. Very much. Thank you.